Career Uprising. I'm your host and professional career coach, Lorraine Rise. Join me as I guide you through an amazing journey of self-discovery and empowerment. If you are looking for work, changing careers, or stuck in a toxic job, then this is the show for you. I offer both practical and spiritual guidance to help you up-level and advance your career. Let's start the uprising. Hey everyone, you are listening to episode 138, How to Spot a Toxic Job Before You Take It. How are you doing, guys? Man, I do that same intro the same way every show, 138 shows. I still like it. I still like the style, the format, the opening music. It's still working for me. I hope you guys like it. So we're rocking and rolling, and welcome to February. I'm recording today on the first day of February. This will be out just a couple days after that. But take a moment to give the show a rating and review. My usual plea to you to review the show on Apple Podcasts, or however you can. I appreciate it. I read every review, and it's really the best way to get back and help the show to grow. It's the number one way I think that people find me, and you can always listen to the full archives of all of my episodes on careeruprising.com/podcast. Every episode going back to number 1 is all there for you. All right. So we have a pretty meaty show. I have, in a moment, 6 strategies for you for spotting a toxic job. This is a big hot topic out there. So I want to weigh in on it, and because I've had a lot of people ask me, how can I know what I'm getting into before I take the job, right? That's always the trick, is how do we make sure that we're taking the job we want before it's too late. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. I have a lot of strategies for you. Right now, I know so many of you, of course, are all aware of the economy that we are in. Every day, there are news stories right now of mass layoffs, Microsoft, Alphabet, PayPal, all of them. And there's just so many out there. It's definitely a tough economy. And I know as a coach, what that means is that the people who need the help the most often can't afford it. They need the help because they're suddenly unemployed, but they can't afford it because they are suddenly unemployed, right? So it's kind of a catch-22, and I want to change that. So for the past couple of months, we have been hard at work here at Career Uprising to try to come up with a solution, because I know, and I'm going to pose this question to you, if you could easily afford to get help, whether coaching, writing your resume, changing careers, whatever it was, if the cost was not an issue, would you do it? The answer is always a resounding yes. The cost is by far the number one reason, virtually the only reason why clients don't sign up to work with us, or with anybody for that matter, right? They want the help, they know they need it, but they just can't pay the upfront cost. Now, whether you're unemployed or not, the announcement I'm about to make is for you, whatever your situation is. But I am excited to share that we have completely overhauled our payment plan offerings at Career Uprising. We now offer 3 to 4 different options for each program, and it's all done securely through PayPal. And so you can start today on any one of our program options, and even for no money down. That's right, guys. You can even get started for no money down, and then make very low monthly payments for however long you choose. You have several options, short and long term. We have interest-free options. We have no money down options. I'm so excited because I offered payment plans before, but they were not like this. This is much more flexible, much more generous, and much, much lower monthly payments. So it is my mission to make coaching and career help as accessible as possible for those who cannot afford it, which are often the ones who need it the most. Not always, but regardless, a lot of people simply cannot afford the upfront costs. So for example, you can do our career preparation resume writing program for just $65 a month. Oh my goodness. You can do our Career Jumpstart program with coaching for just $100 a month. And you can even do the Big Mama Signature Career Transformation Program for just $200 a month. And there's other options in there as well, but that's how low these payments are, you guys. And we can even customize options for you as well. So, like I said, we have options with no interest, no money down, whatever your preference is. Is that a game changer? Yeah, you bet. So if you're curious, go to careeruprising.com/programs. You can view all the options. You can even view examples of what your payments would be on each program with the different options. It's very transparent. All on the website, no gimmicks or anything like that. Definitely book a call with me so we can go through it. A call is required for enrolling in pretty much all of the programs because I want it to be a good fit for you. But the money should no longer be a problem. I think that's amazing. I hope that works for you. Okay. All right. Let's get in to our topic. So I've got a lot of information to cover in today's show, and I think you're going to like this. I want to give you 6 strategies for how to spot a toxic job before you take it. This has come up a lot recently with clients and prospects. Nobody wants to feel bamboozled, like they took a job and then it ended up being something completely different. In fact, research shows that that is the number one reason why people leave jobs within about the first, 90 days or so. It's because the day-to-day expectations were not what they thought they were based on the interview. I think there was a survey and about 41 people or 46 people, something like that, said that was the reason why they left their job so quickly. So this is a big problem. Definitely. It happens a lot. It's happened to my husband more than once. That's very frustrating. It can be really challenging, I think, to get a realistic preview of what working for a company is really like. And as you know, we're never going to know for sure until we take the job. There's a lot of due diligence and reasonable measures that we can take to try to prevent that from happening. And I'm going to go through those today. But there's nothing like actually getting in there, rolling up your sleeves and doing the work to find out if this company and this job is right for you. So unfortunately, that is the surefire way, right? But I think that there is a fair amount we can do beforehand. So we want to maximize and optimize on that to reduce the likelihood of getting a nasty surprise after you accept a position. Because that's so frustrating. What a waste of time, right? Especially if you left a good job for that new job and then got really disappointed. So, all right. So I'm going to tell you something too. There's some really crappy advice out there on this topic. If you want to do a Google search, which I did just to kind of see what would come up, I came across an article on the internet from, they'll stay nameless, but one of those super low cost resume writing mills, as we call them, where it's like only $100 to do your resume and it looks really good until you realize that it's terrible. And we have a name for those in our industry. We call them resume mills. But anyway, this article from this resume company was completely ridiculous, okay? And I'm not making this up. The advice that they gave for you for how to spot a toxic job, this was one of the pieces of advice. They said, use the bathroom while you're on the interview. And if the company didn't replace the toilet paper on the roll, then that's the sign of a poor company that obviously can't work together. Let that one sink in. That was their actual advice. I almost fell out of my chair. So that's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And so we're going to give you better advice today. We're going to do a lot better than that. All right. Solid, actionable strategies beyond just evaluating their toilet paper roll for how to spot a toxic job. Okay, let's dig in. Number 1. I love a good countdown, you guys. You like countdowns? Number 1, at the most basic level, I want you to read online reviews. Now, that might sound a little bit surprising because a lot of websites like Glassdoor and other places do get a bad reputation for these reviews. So I do want you to just consider these as only one part of a comprehensive strategy to do research on a company, but it's the information that you have. So we're not going to take all these reviews at face value. They're just one tool in your toolbox, okay? And one tip to help you with these too is as you read these reviews, it would be more relevant if you could find ones that were from people who worked in the department that you're going to be working for. I have found that company cultures vary quite a bit from one department to another. It can almost feel like working for a different company. So that matters, definitely. Try to get as close as you can to the actual job and the department, at least, that you would be working for so you can get a more accurate assessment in there, okay? All right, number 2, pay close attention to how they treat you in the interview process. This is a big one. You can tell how classy a company is or isn't by how they treat their candidates, all right? And I think this is relevant whether you do a phone, virtual, or in-person interview. So the kind of thing I want you to pay attention to here is how friendly and polite they are, of course, in general, but also how courteous are they to you when scheduling or even needing to reschedule an interview. They should be accommodating. They should not expect you to just drop what you're doing and interview the very next day. They should be accommodating to your work schedule. They should allow you to reschedule if you really need to. They should give you proper notice, things like that, okay? It should be a two-way street. I really think that that can tell you a lot about the company. And think about the format of the interview too. Did it feel casual and comfortable, or was it more formal and strict and kind of one-sided? That's not, one way is not necessarily better than the other, but I mean, personally, I'm much more partial to conversational, relaxed job interviews. I think that you will get a more accurate picture of the candidate if they are at ease and just having a conversation rather than getting a bunch of canned answers, right? So I like that. I think that that's a sign of a more relaxed company culture. But either way is fine. I want you to just decide which you prefer and think that you would fit in better with. All right, moving right along. Number 3, ask better questions. Asking questions is a very important part of the interview, and you should be asking questions too. Most people, what they will do is ask the employer very broad and kind of generic questions. So things like, tell me about your company culture, or what is it like to work here? And these questions are okay, but the problem is they're so open-ended that they make it easy for the employer to just kind of give you canned talking points, which I'm sure they have prepared. So instead, I want you to ask the employer for specific examples. So what that could sound like is, tell me about a recent time when an employee demonstrated the company's values. What was that? What was that example? Or give me an example of a recent internal promotion. What does the company do to promote employees internally? All right, so employers are always asking you for examples of your work history, and they want specifics. So there's no reason why you can't ask them for specific examples of whatever you want to know. Tell me about a time when. Give me an example of. Those kinds of questions. I think most job seekers don't really think to do that or don't think that they can, but you should. The quality of questions that you ask and how you phrase them can determine what type of answers you get. All right, guys, we are halfway through our list. We've got 3 more great strategies coming up, but we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then I will be back with the remaining 3 strategies for how you can spot a toxic job before it's too late. We'll be right back. Hey guys, we're on a break for a minute, and I want to tell you about something exciting going on at careeruprising.com. I have an online store that I created just for you. It has a variety of low-cost resources that will give you the boost that you need in your career. And they offer a great introduction to what it would be like to coach with me. I've got ebooks, meditations, and other resources for you to take advantage of and start getting help today. These products are instantly downloadable, priced incredibly low, and cover many aspects of career transitions. Head on over now to the store while you're listening to the show. It's at careeruprising.com/store. That's careeruprising.com/store. Now let's get back to the show. All right, we are back, guys. I still have 3 more strategies to work through to help you spot a toxic job before you take it. All right, so number 4, I want you to review their employees thoroughly on LinkedIn. This is a really fun tip I taught my husband when he was job searching, and he found it to be pretty useful. All right, so I would recommend definitely before you take the job, but even before you go on an interview, take a look at the LinkedIn profiles of as many employees as you can who work for the company. And just like with the online reviews, it's ideal for you to focus on people who are going to be working with you in your department, all right? Because things vary a lot. So something you could be looking for example, is whether or not there's a lot of new employees with short job tenures. It's hard to know what this can mean sometimes, but if they're still there and but you see a lot of people with short tenures, it could just mean the company is growing and hiring a lot, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But it also could mean that the staff is not very experienced, and maybe there's some growing pains because they have a lot of new people. We don't want to read too far into it, but it's just good context and something to be aware of. And having that information ahead of time can give you some direction sometimes for what questions you might want to ask based on what you found. So if you have LinkedIn Premium, you can do an advanced search, and you can also find people who used to work at the company, so past employers. Now that's where you can find a little bit of dirt. That's where you can find out if there's a lot of people who don't work there anymore and worked there for a short period of time. Now this is a little bit of a time-consuming process, but sometimes when you're unemployed, you have this time, right, to kind of creep some profiles of people on LinkedIn. So look at job tenures of current and former employees. Also, just look at how they present themselves. Does the company have standardized information on people's profiles for that job listing? Does it seem formal? Do people seem very casual about it? Just get some information and see how people at that company are presenting themselves. Maybe even look at their career paths. How did they go from where they were into that organization? Whatever is relevant to you, there's something like 800 million people on LinkedIn or something like that. There's a wealth of information at your disposal. But again, keep in mind, just like the reviews, we don't always know exactly what it means. So don't read too far into it, but just be aware of it, okay? But if you have that LinkedIn Premium, take advantage of it and run some searches and see what you can possibly infer from the profiles of people who used to and currently work there, okay? Again, each one of these tips is just one part of a comprehensive strategy, all right? So tip 5, even better than what you can learn online from LinkedIn and Glassdoor, is asking your network. As I've always said, you should be doing networking as the core strategy in your job search. So I want you to ask people that you know if they've ever worked for this company or know someone who has. And if you can land even one conversation with somebody who has inside knowledge about that company culture or their interview process, that is a gold mine. It is always best to hear it directly from somebody who has worked there and has firsthand knowledge, all right? I would take that any day over 10 or 15 online reviews, all right? But again, we still have to think that's only one person's opinion or experience. But still, it's almost a little bit more authentic and validated when you can actually ask somebody questions with firsthand experience. So combine your online research with also asking around your network for people who might know something about that company. What have they heard? Who do they know that might work there? That type of thing. Like I said, they can give you insights into the company themselves and whether or not they're good to work for, and also possibly how rigorous their interview process is and what the company's values are or what matters to them. And you can adjust your sales then accordingly. So, all right, we're already to our last tip here. Number 6. This is probably the biggest one. Never ignore your intuition. I have done this in the past, and that's exactly how I landed my butt in a really toxic job that lasted only 3 months before I got very unceremoniously fired. Okay? If you've listened to my show, you've heard that story. There's nearly always signs. All right? Sometimes they're subtle, though. Subtle enough that we sweep them under the rug and we kind of ignore them like I did. But for example, do you walk away from the job interview with only a vague idea of what you'll actually be doing or who you'll be working with? That's not a good sign. Did you not really hit it off well with the people that you spoke to? Was it all just kind of transactional? You didn't really click with anybody or feel really welcomed? Not a good sign. Trust yourself, okay, that you are going to make the right decision. And if it doesn't work out, it's not meant to be. You should feel excited when you take a new job. It should feel good. When I took that toxic job some 8 or 9 years ago, I don't know now, I didn't feel that great about it. Everything was fuzzy and vague. I got it way too easily. It should have been a much more rigorous interview process. It was too easy and it was too vague. And I remember now looking back and asking myself, why don't I feel more excited about this? Like it was just a job. Like there was nothing special about it, but there should be. So if you feel hesitant or conflicted, it might not be right for you. And believe me, when you are unemployed, I know it's very tempting to take the first job that comes along. And if you are really in a bad financial situation, maybe you should, and then keep looking, okay? Don't stop that wheel. But make sure that you balance out the urgency and the financial need with also doing your proper due diligence and making sure that this is a worthwhile move for you. Because you have to remember, once you get into a full-time job, it's a lot harder to job search in a way because you just don't have time. You're learning your new job, you're putting in full-time hours. That is one advantage that unemployed people have, is they have the time to do the work. But then again, people who are employed have the advantage of simply being employed and there's no bias. So it's all comes out in the wash, you guys, okay? So, but I want you to pay attention to your gut instincts. You have them for a reason, okay? All right, that's it, you guys. So really quick, we can recap. Read online reviews. Pay attention to how they treat you in the interview process. Ask solid, specific questions. Review LinkedIn profiles, ask your network, and do not ignore your intuition. And that should set you up for success. All right. Go to my website, careeruprising.com. Take a look at the payment plan options, book a call. You can do that right from the website. I'm just as nice on those calls as I am on my podcast. I'm the same person. So I would love to talk to you. There's no hard sell. I hate hard sells. I don't do that. I don't even enroll everyone. Sometimes it's like, okay, not a fit, no problem. So I pride myself on right fit and making it comfortable for you to talk to me and enroll if you're interested. So I look forward to coming back in about 2 weeks with another topic. Thanks, guys. That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please consider giving the show a positive review on iTunes. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help to spread the word so that others can learn about the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to connect with you again next time on Career Uprising.
This show is brought to you by InflowRadio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.